en Buenos Aires.
Today's guest is a former international sales executive. His first dose of life in Argentina came in 1967 when he did an exchange program. He came back 30 years later to rekindle his love for the country. A former expat, an expat since 2011, let's welcome Ray Farley.
Woo! Thank you, Paul. Nice to be here.
Yeah, man. Thank you for being here. It's nice to have you.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Right. Cool, Ray. Where are you from originally?
Ohio.
Ohio.
I lived in the Midwest, Ohio, Indiana, until I was 16.
Uh-huh.
And then went to Argentina for a year, came back, and ended up spending most of the rest of my adult life in northern New York and Vermont.
You came to Argentina for a year. When was this?
1967.
1967.
A long time ago.
Where to Buenos Aires?
No, well, the province, yes, but I was in Carlos Casares.
Carlos Casares.
It's sort of in the middle of the province, a little bit to the south of the middle.
What was it like in 1967?
I loved it.
You loved it?
I didn't know what to expect at all.
Yeah.
And
what was there to love in 1967?
I think more than anything,
apart from dulce de leche.
well, the family I lived with said that they had to buy a lot more dulce de leche when I arrived.
Oh, yeah?
It took me a couple of weeks to try that funny brown stuff that they were putting on everything.
Yeah, it's
but
in everything.
Once I did, it was
it's equivalent to peanut butter.
I think it's better.
Yeah, but it's in everything.
Yeah, everything. Well, living in the campo, in the country. Yeah. There weren't a lot of facturas and things like that to have dulce de leche on. And principalmente, normally you would find it either on pancakes or cookies and crackers.
I imagine also in 1967 they would make their own dulce de leche.
The zone where I lived had lots of dairies, so it came from the dairy, but it came in a cardboard thing. It wasn't in a can or anything plastic at all.
So what makes someone, go on an exchange program? How did you find out about an exchange program in 1967? Well, at college? I mean, I'm sure no one was handing out flyers. Hey, go to Argentina to be an exchange student.
It's a long story, but I'll try to condense it. I moved from Indiana to Ohio when I was 16. I went to high school at 3 different high schools in 4 years.
Oh, that's tough.
And the second one, I was only there a year, and I went from a high school that had 90 students in the senior class to one that had 350. So it was a bit of a shock for me to be surrounded by that many people in school, and it wasn't too friendly, let's say. Not that people didn't like each other, but there were just so many people that it was hard to get to know people.
Yeah, sure.
And
I can't imagine Argentina being very popular in 1967 in the U.S.
It was kind of funny. My favorite course in high school was chemistry. And my chemistry teacher was famous throughout the whole county because she was good at teaching reasoning and thinking as well as chemistry. So there were lots of parents that had their students go to her class even though they had no use for chemistry, just to learn how to think better.
What year was this?
60, in that point it was 67 still.
Was she making LSD?
No, she was pretty straight lady. She came to me one day and said, "You're doing pretty good in class. What do you think about an exchange, being an exchange student?" And I said, "Gee, I've never thought of anything like that. Tell me more about it." And she said, "Well, my daughter's an exchange student in Australia this year. It happened more or less because my husband is president of the Rotary, and it was kind of easy to get chosen. But now we're looking for candidates. And if you'd like, here's an application." I said, "Well, okay."
To Argentina?
No, it was the world.
The world.
Rotary has exchanges throughout the free world.
Oh, wow.
So I didn't know much about the program. And I went home to my parents and said, "Hey, what do you think about this? It seems interesting, but I don't know." And they said, "Well, if you want to, we're willing to support you." So I said, "Well, I'll fill out the application and see what happens." Okay. I had a local interview with the town, And in that moment, Ohio was really big on international exchange and the Rotary doing lots of exchanges. And they had a whole network set up of 3 or 4 tiers of interviews to weed out candidates. And I actually made it to the final interview. I was there in a room with 25 businessmen all looking at me. It was pretty tough. They'd ask you a question and you'd answer the person that asked. And when you looked to the side, there were 20-some other people studying you. So it was, for a 17-year-old at the time, it was a pretty tough experience.
Yeah, it's a pretty long flight, too.
I got to the end of the interview, and they said, well, look, you've put here on the list that you want to go to Spain or Mexico or Argentina. Franco threw the Rotary out during their war, so there's no Rotary in Spain. We're not going to send a kid from Ohio to Mexico when there are all these Rotarians in Texas and Arizona and so on that can just drive across the border.
Sure.
And we don't know about Argentina. But how would you feel about Japan or Sweden or Finland? And I said, ooh, I don't know, but we'll see. And in the end, I got chosen, and they told me, well, you're going to go. My natural reaction was, where? And they said, we don't know yet. And it was like, wow, I'm going somewhere in the world for a year, and I have no idea where. And about 6 weeks later, I got a letter from the president of the Rotary of Carlos Casares, and he was also president of one of the Banco Nacional. And it was a long thing of welcome, and we'll be receiving you at Ezeiza, and
Wow.
and you'll be spending a year with us, and you'll be with the doctor of the town's family. I think you'll have a good time.
Nice.
And sounded good. It wasn't. Still, it was like, wow, that's.
Did you have any information? Was there any information available? I mean, there was no internet back then, obviously, but did you go to the library to study up on Argentina?
No,
or?
they had a really intense program to try to help students before they went. And probably the final thing was they had a getaway weekend where all the students from the state came to this area. It was kind of like a weekend hotel with a lake and swimming and sailing and things. And they had all the existing students from foreign countries there and all the students that were about to travel there as well. Okay. And they paired you up with people that from the same country.
Did you speak any Spanish when you got here?
I had studied Spanish from 4th grade to 10th grade with the same teacher. Okay. It was a small school system, and they had money for one language teacher. I had the mechanics down pretty well, but I really couldn't speak that well.
How old were you?
17.
17. Oh, what an experience.
Yeah. So as it turned out, there was this young fellow that was just vibrant, bouncy, full of energy, pretty much crazy. And he was from the same town I was going to.
Oh, wow.
So Roberto sat me down and said, look, don't bring this. If you bring jeans, bring three pair, not one. And don't worry about tennis shoes, but, bring this stuff and not that stuff. And it was really kind of a jump ahead.
Do you remember what kind of music they listened to back then?
I listened to and fell in love with the folklore.
The folklore.
I had a different experience. I was interested in both my host brothers were really into the traditional activities. So they went to Argentine dance lessons. They had full outfits in different native costumes to do dance presentations.
Like the chamamé.
It was more like zapatear.
Zapatear.
Things like that. And so there was some folklore music in the house.
A lot of rodeo? They ride the horses and stuff?
I went to a couple to see, but it was kind of more of a show than anything. Huh. And the real experience I had was in the fall. One of my high school classmates took me to a classic roundup on a ranch.
Nice.
And that was actually spectacular. There were owners of ranches flying in their little airplanes. They'd land, open the door, 3 dogs would jump out, run around and do what they wanted. And
Sure.
they did the dehorning and castrating and all of that stuff all during the day.
Yeah.
And midday, there was a huge asado for all the people that came to help. And it was a terrific experience.
I can relate to that experience because when I was 18, I graduated high school. My parents, they bought me a ticket to Buenos Aires, and I spent 2 months here, and I went back to the States, and I wanted to come back.
Oh, yeah.
And you came back 30 years later.
It was sort of a strange thing. My work had me traveling all over the U.S., and it was pretty demanding as far as time and travel. And the parent company was based in Europe, and it was a large conglomerate that had 26 factories across Europe. And over the years, I traveled to all of them. So I was in Germany, Poland, Hungary, Ireland, Sweden, Finland, seeing all these different factories and how they worked, and really didn't have much time to travel south.
Yeah.
And I never lost the interest in Argentina. I lost the connection, though.
Uh-huh.
When I went home, I had made incredible friends from high school classmates and some other people.
Did you keep in touch during
We rode for about 3 years, and I was going through letters a while back, and we both sort of stopped at the same time. I can't identify something that happened in my life where I just decided to stop writing. Yeah. But after that, I got busy with life, married, 2 children. And a couple of years after that, I got a job where I had to start traveling. And my travel took me to different places than Argentina. But I never lost my interest. And I had this, when the internet started to bloom, let's say, in 98, 99, around there, that was getting really practical and accessible. I had this nostalgia at the end of the year in December, and I usually had a little more time with my work. So I would go on the internet and I would look up Carlos Casares. And I found there was a site for the local high school. And so I'd go to the site, and at the end of the site, if you wanted to leave a message, you could. So I put a message that said, hey, I'm looking for any graduates from 1968, because I was a classmate, and any information you can give me about the Gutierrez family. And nothing. I think I did that 4 or 5 years running.
Wow.
And was kind of disappointed, but I thought, well, I haven't written
30 years.
Yeah, 30 years. 30 years is a long time. What I didn't know was that I went to Colegio Nacional, and that was no longer. It had changed over to a provincial school. All the people, teachers, and everything, and nobody was monitoring the old site. So I was leaving messages, but nobody was
home
reading them.
Yeah.
So the last year, I went and left my message and looked around a little bit. There weren't any newer pictures. So I said, wow, bummer. And when I jumped out of the site, there was a new banner that said, new site for the municipality of Carlos Casares. Okay, curiosity, click on the thing, and right down the middle was a list of all the emails of all the people that worked at the city offices. The very first email was the guy that sat in front of me in high school. Yeah. And I clicked on it and said, Edgardo, sos vos? And he responded, Ray, you're not dead? And I said, what? Apparently, there's another Ray Farley in the United States. Actually, later I looked, and there's more than one, many more than one. And someone came back from Buenos Aires saying that I had been killed in Vietnam.
Wow.
So that word went through the city or the town.
The word around the campfire was that Ray was dead.
Nobody was looking for me because they thought I was 6 feet under.
Wow.
So from there, I began to chat with. He gave me a list of other high school friends, and we started a little circle comparing our life experiences and how many kids we had and all the different things that had happened over the years. And finally, in 2005, I was able to come back on a larger tour of South America to Buenos Aires for 3 days. And one of my closest friends, unbeknownst to me, sold agrochemicals and things for the use in the country in agriculture. And he was in town for La Rural.
Yeah.
So he said, hey, I'm going to be in town. We'll get together and have dinner, and I've got a car. I'll take you around and show you different places. And we did that. And finally he said, well, let's go back to the hotel. And we were sitting there, each with our laptop, showing each other pictures and so on. And in a few minutes, I hear someone clear their throat, and I look up, and there's 3 of my closest friends from high school standing there in front of me.
What are their names? You want to say hi to them?
Fanfan, Edgardo. Fanfan, Edgardo, y Vasco. My 3 closest friends. And unfortunately, 2 of them are now gone. Oh. But it was really funny.
Well, maybe they're watching.
All 3 of them had a little bag of perfume. I said, what the heck is that? And they said, well, our wives let us come from Carlos Casares as long as we brought them back some perfume. Oh. So they had organized a surprise dinner, and about 15 of my classmates were there, and we had just a wonderful evening. It was quite the surprise.
And it's 2011.
Well, from 2000, one of the people I connected with is now my wife.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
So in 2005, and she's Argentine.
Oh, okay.
And we started dating in 2006. We both went back and forth for a year. And in 2007, long before the Trump era, she was stopped by customs in Houston, and they said, "You're working here. We're not letting you back in." Oh. And she said, "But I'm not working here. I'm retired." And she had a list of my family and friends and some of her own friends that had come to the States. And she said, "I'm coming to visit. I'm retired." And they said, "No." She had a visa for 10 years, and the girl took it, scratched it out, and said, "Invalid as of," and she gave her 60 days. And then she wasn't allowed back in the States for a year.
Wow.
And that's kind of hard on a romance where all of a sudden you can't see each other.
And what'd you do?
Went to a lawyer. And I talked to a lawyer for about an hour. Sylvia was sitting beside me. Didn't understand that much English at the time. And I said, tranqui, we'll talk when it's all over.
No pasa nada.
No pasa nada. Something like that. And at the end, the lawyer looked at me and said, "What are your intentions?" And I said, "Well, we've been thinking that this is long term, but we weren't in any hurry to do anything." And she said, "Well, you can spend $20,000 appealing or more without a guarantee. But if you get married, it goes away."
It's a no-brainer.
So, well, you had to need to or want to get married. The first floor of the building where the lawyer's office was had a nice little cafe bar. We went down there and I had a glass of wine, and she says, "Well, tell me what happened." And I said, "Well, how would you like to get married?" And she said, okay. But, no, she was happy.
In Spanish
but it
or
was
English? Did you ask her?
no, at that time we communicated almost entirely in Spanish. So,
What'd you say? How was it?
Nos casamos, viejita.
no, ¿quieres casarte conmigo?
¿Quieres casarte conmigo?
Sí.
All right.
That worked.
That's like a tango.
She said, yes.
Well, it was pretty amazing because we couldn't do what we wanted. We had to do what the lawyer told us. And the lawyer said, you've got 60 days and you're going to get married on the 57th day, because that happens a lot. A couple gets together and they don't want to part, so they get married at the end. If you get married right away, they're going to say, oh, you plan to get married, and that's false information to enter on your visa.
Yeah.
So she gave us a whole timeline of how we were going to work everything out. We found there's a really beautiful hotel nearby that has a cooking school that does really wonderful cooking. We decided that we would get married in a library there with my sons and their wives. And
what was the language at home? I mean, you got married.
Spanish.
You got married. You lived in the States, so at home you spoke Spanish.
Yes. Vermont, where we were living, has a lot of immigrants coming in. At the time, there were a lot from the Balkans, Thailand, not Thailand, but near there, from the Orient, and they would hit Boston immigration, and they would send them north to Vermont. And
Are your kids bilingual?
No.
No.
My kids are 45 or so. They were grown by the time Sylvia and I got together.
Okay. All right.
There was a really wonderful support system for the immigrants with English classes. There were lots of immigrants from Africa and other countries that had no idea what a flush toilet was or what central heating was.
Sure.
So as part of the language, they actually taught them how to live in an American-type household.
So what made you move to BA in 2011?
That was part of our plan.
Part of the plan?
When we got married, I needed to, I couldn't retire until I was 62. And we had a few years before then. So we decided that her parents were elder, that if she needed to go for them, I would send her to Argentina to help care for them. And I went at the Christmas holidays and winter holidays. And the rest of the time she spent in Vermont. And the deal was when I retired, we moved to Argentina.
And what do you do here in BA?
I'm retired. I just enjoy the place.
How do you spend most of your day?
We're busy. It's hard to say, but we get up in the morning, have breakfast.
You live around
we live
here?
in the city. We live in Recoleta, in an older part of the neighborhood. It's absolutely ideal because we're in the middle of Coronel Diaz, Santa Fe, Las Heras, y Pueyrredón. So there's no buses, no big traffic. It's nice and quiet.
You mentioned that you know someone in la abuela or Plaza de Mayo, the mother of Plaza de Mayo.
Right. That's a pretty sad story because I was trying to get a hold of members of the family, the family that I lived with. There was a family of 6. The doctor of the city, important surgeon, helped build the hospital, really well known. And his wife was busy with 4 kids and me, 2 boys and 2 girls. And they say here, buttons on the vest, one right after the other. And when the kids went to college, the 2 boys went first and then the girls, and they all went to La Plata. And when the girls went, the mother went too and got an apartment for all of them. And 3 of the 4 were into left-leaning activities in a time where that was not not done without problems. And one day, the famous Green Falcon came.
The Green Falcons, yeah.
And came and looking for Alejandro, stopped at his brother's house and had everybody in the house under the gun for a couple of days, trying to get information out of him because they didn't know where Alejandro lived. And they kept asking his brother, he's your brother, you must know where he lives. And he, no. And finally they put a pistol to the head of his 2-year-old daughter and said, you choose your daughter or your brother. Yeah. So they piled everybody in the Falcon and went to Alejandro's apartment. Everybody stayed there for about a week. And then they loaded Alejandro in the car with the military police or whoever it was. And he was never seen again. And in that time, his mother, Mabel...
Mabel Penete de Gutiérrez.
Sí.
She's a mother from Carlos Casares.
Yeah.
That was my host mother.
Oof. That was your host mother?
Yeah.
Tremendous story.
Wow.
Yeah, she was a great lady. She was one of the founding members of the Mothers of the Plaza de Mayo. Wow. And as she got older, it's like, I didn't understand it all, but it seemed to me that she was sort of transferred into the grandmothers, helping in that area.
Yeah.
And until her final days, she was involved in that.
Did you ever met with her?
Yes, once. I think it was, I can't give you the exact date, but if you know the date of Jose Lopez and when he disappeared,
yes,
that was the night I had dinner with her. And she was still very much involved in the politics. And we spent a wonderful evening together, probably about 5 hours, talking about what had happened and how they had looked for Alejandro and the different things that had happened over the years. Mabel went and gave testimony in The Hague, trying to get international help for the disappeareds. And we spent a fair amount of time enjoying the time and talking about the history and some other happier things.
Sure.
But every 15 minutes, the phone rang. Okay. Look, I'm with some people now. I'll call you back as soon as they're gone. And there were calls all through the evening. And it actually made us a bit uncomfortable because she was very involved with trying to find him and what had happened to him and so on.
Yeah.
So...
So you were a young teenage kid living in a house with another teen people, and would you say what was like to be a teenager in Argentina in that time, which was complicated?
She was very involved with trying to find him and what had happened to him and so on.
Yeah.
So...
So you were a young teenage kid living in a house with another teen people, and would you say what was like to be a teenager in Argentina in that time, which was complicated?
Really, I was there a little bit before things got too complicated. I had a wonderful time. Because
you turn out good. You're not a leftist.
No,
Montonero.
Well, my view on politics in Argentina is that I have my views, but they're not mine to express. I'm a resident. I'm not a citizen. I can't vote. My closest friends will talk with me about politics, and I'll give my opinions. But my opinions are my opinions. They shouldn't be expressed as an Argentine because I'm not. But to answer your question, Carlos Casares was a small town. Everybody knew me before I knew anyone. The funny thing was that they asked me what my name was, and I said Ray. And they said, Ray?
King.
No, they said, Raid! Como la matabicho cucaracha. So I'd be walking down the street, and somebody would shout from 1 or 2 blocks away, Right! It was fun.
Have you ever been to the celebration in Carlos Casares, the Sunflower?
Never.
because it's famous.
Oh yeah, it's we watch it on TV and everything, but our movements have never coincided. Also, it's incredibly hard to get a hotel room because lots of people come into town for the festival.
Lots of people.
Cool.
But even when I was there, I was out backpacking and traveling when they had the festival that year.
All right. Okay, good. We're going to switch it up, and we're going to go with our next interesting segment, which is the ping pong.
Okay.
Okay, the ping pong is basically I ask you simple questions, you give me a simple answer. All right?
I'll try to keep it simple.
Favorite food?
Suprema Napolitana,
Crema Napolitana.
and only one. And the one at my local parisha.
Yeah.
I've had them all over the city, and no one makes them as good as my local parisha.
With fritas or with...
Fritas, and sometimes fritas a la Provençal.
Oh, there you go.
Good.
There you
But
go.
then
That
I
would,
have to keep my distance because of the garlic.
that would be a chicken parmesan. Back
Yeah,
in the
chicken
States.
parm, pretty much.
Chicken parm.
Without
Okay.
the pasta and a
Without
load
the
of
pasta.
fries.
Do you drink mate?
I like the social aspect of mate. So when I'm with a group of friends, I really enjoy it.
It doesn't wire you out?
No, it doesn't really bother me. But if I get up in the morning, some people run for the mate. I have a coffee.
All right. Okay. Do you take a siesta?
When I'm in the countryside, yes, because there's nothing else to do.
All right.
The dogs sleep in the street. There's nowhere to go. You can't buy a Coke or a pack of cigarettes or anything. So we sleep by default.
Where do you go in the countryside?
Carlos Casares.
You go to Carlos
Yeah,
Casares?
we still have friends and relatives there, so
Ooh.
we go back several times a year.
You have a place of your own there, or you go to a friend's house?
My stepson lives there, so he has a house there that we helped him build, and there's a room for us when we go, but it's his place, so we try not to invade too often.
Where's your favorite place to go inside the city if you go out for a stroll? For a walk?
Favorite place? Well, I guess the first thing that comes to mind is my favorite thing is Jacaranda.
Jacaranda.
We live about 4 blocks from Libertador and Figueroa El Corta. And in the spring, I could walk all day in that part of the city.
Do you like tango?
I like to watch it. I love the music. I like the folklore more, but I think it's fabulous. Fabulous music and quite an art form.
Right. Okay. Is there anything about B8 that gets on your nerves, that bothers you?
Oh, nothing.
No, nothing, huh? Everything is perfect?
I've come to accept pretty much everything. Sometimes makes me a little crazy with the traffic.
Traffic. Do you drive here?
Oh yeah.
Oh, really?
We in the city we don't drive because it's a hassle to find a place to leave the car and all that stuff. But we have friends in Escobar, Luján, Mercedes. Plus we go to Casares a lot, and it's hard to get there without a car.
Do you have a driver's license?
Oh yeah.
Oh, do you have a DNI?
Yes.
All right. Oh, you're all
I'm
set.
a resident, but
All
not
right.
a citizen.
Okay. Interesting. All right. And tell us, apart from all that, how do you feel about when things close for the siesta? Talking about the siesta. Does that get on your nerves when you go somewhere and it's closed from 1 to 5?
You learn to live with it.
You learn to live with it.
Really. I mean, when we go to Casares, the whole town folds up at 12:30, 1 o'clock, and nothing is open until 5. And once in a while, I'll be up and I'll say to Sylvia, let's go see this friend. Let's go see that friend. She said, it's not 5 o'clock yet.
Oh,
They're not going to answer the door.
all right. Okay, and tell me, what's it like to be a gringo in Buenos Aires?
I have a blast, but I have an advantage, and that's that I can speak Spanish fairly well, and I've got a lot of time on my hands. So being retired, we move around the city, but in my neighborhood, I know everybody that works at the Chino by name.
Huh. You like the Chino? You shop
Well,
at the
it's
Chino?
really funny because the Bolivian that ran the verduleria in the front of the Chino bought the Chino.
Oh, wow.
Así que
Check it out. Check
everybody,
it out. Wow.
everybody calls
a
it a
Bolivian
Chino.
buying a Chino.
It's not
Everybody
a Chino.
calls it a Chino, but Roberto is not Chino.
Oh, he's the big Bolivian.
So, and I know my carnicero, my peluquero.
Do you make your own asado? Do you know how to
I
make an
don't,
asado?
rarely, because we don't have a place in our apartment.
You don't have
It's
a
an
butter-
older building, and it was before they started incorporating
Do you like
those
asado?
things.
Do you like
Yeah,
them?
yeah.
You like the chincholín and the
The only
sweet
thing I'm
breads
not really a fan of is the brains, sesos. But all the other stuff, bring it on.
I don't think I've ever had the brain or the tongue. You ever go to the butcher shop and they got the tongue there?
It actually makes a great sandwich.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Una lengüita a la vinagreta.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Chico.
Check it out.
Ray, do you have some favorite Spanish slangs
Ooh.
or curses? Do you curse in English or in Spanish when you hit your toe?
The first thing that comes out is hijo de puta or que lo parió.
Que lo parió.
And then the mixed company one is hijo de mala madre.
Hijo de mala madre. Damn.
You have some soccer favorite team?
Not really. A lot of the family follows River, but we usually don't watch soccer on a regular basis unless it's a big game. We've got other things going on.
You still follow U.S. sports?
Not too much.
No?
No, it was when I first came, it was hard to get them on TV. And now that I can, I've kind of lost interest. I mean, we watch the Super Bowl and a couple of things like that, but to follow a team or to follow week to week different sports, we've kind of given up on that.
Would you recommend Argentina or Buenos Aires as a cool place for Americans to retire to, or anyone for that matter?
I think so. It's more expensive than it used to be.
That's a lot more expensive.
For a while, it was a gift. Really, everything was very inexpensive.
We were living large. When we
Oh
had
yeah,
dollars.
oh yeah. I think the thing that I like the most that might appeal to some people, if you like a city, Buenos Aires is fabulous. And as a person that may grow old in retirement, there's really good medical care here.
Yeah.
And while some of the insurance plans have gotten quite expensive on Argentine terms, they're nothing compared to the cost of the American terms.
Yeah, it's true.
So, I mean, I've had a couple little things happen, and my wife as well, where we both had to be hospitalized, and the care was fabulous.
Sure.
Absolutely fabulous. And the price was reasonable. I had a heart procedure a few years ago, and it was one thing that wasn't covered by my health insurance. And here I paid about $3,000 for everything. And in the U.S., it would have been between...
That's an MRI.
Yeah.
An MRI is $3,700.
In the U.S., it would have been $35,000 to $40,000 for the same procedure.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
it...
All
And the
right.
quality of care was fantastic.
Yeah, it's cool.
You came here a long time ago, so maybe you got used to it, but how was it to feel the touchiness of Latino people saying hello, kissing you, hugging you?
Are you used to the hello kiss?
I love it, but it's really strange because I'm a big guy, and lots of times if you go to a party or a gathering, you have to salute or say hello to 20 people. And sometimes as you approach someone, they go sort of like not sure if they want to shake hands or what they're supposed to do with me. They're not sure what they're supposed to do with me, and especially with
It's awkward.
Especially with a lady, I don't want to just grab her and
Kiss.
plant a kiss on her cheek or something. I kind of watch for some sort of sign that it's going to be okay. So it's strange.
Have you met any famous celebrities from Argentina, crossing them in the street, saying hello at some events?
There are several that walk through my neighborhood, but my feeling is that I should leave them alone.
Yeah.
You know, the one that I used to see a lot is Paulino.
Paulino.
And I liked him on TV and respected his work and opinions, but I felt like walking down the street, he didn't need me stopping him to bother him. So I was like, cool, he's in our neighborhood.
All right.
But it didn't seem like it was a good thing to bother him.
All right. Okay, Ray. Well, thank you for an interesting talk. It was really insightful.
I enjoyed it. I'm glad we could do this.
Yeah. How do you feel? How do you feel about the studio?
It looks great. And well, I came on one of the first ones and got to see it from the other side of the microphone, and now I'm on this side. It feels good.
All right. Okay, Ray. Well, pleasure talking to you, and thank you so much for your time. For sure.